Time for the Tesla and Palantir weekly update. So starting with Tesla here on linear scale, always got this fib ready to go from the all-time high down to the low in January. It did in fact close below the 258.15, but the good news is when we switch it to log scale, it's still actually holding support very nicely, the 242.44. So that is still kind of the range, right? In between the 260 and the 240 zone. It's just stuck in a range. So after a monster 21.97% weekly candle last week, it did give up 7.51% of that. So could we see a back test next week of this 242.44 or a wick below? Of course we could, right? But that does not change the high time frame thesis at all, because when we put on the Ichimoku right here and the conversion lines and also the SMAs and all that stuff, you can see that the conversion line does in fact sit right there at 241.59. Then you got the 200-week moving average right there at 236.55, and then you have all the support down here, but don't really think it needs to go there at all. But anyways, if it did go down there, it's just a healthy breakout and a back test. And basically all that is doing is trying to make it build a base to eventually blast through this 702, 272.79. So I did show you guys last week this Tesla chart right here. And this chart right here was a perfect rejection of that angle, right? Let me zoom out so you can see it again. I did tell you last week that it did close right up there, and that would be resistance. And I said that it might have a challenging time to break through, and sure enough, it did wick above it this week and did end up closing lower. So still no reason to fear. It's just part of the process. You can see it happen many times when it was in a downtrend, right? Kept on getting rejected over and over and over again until it broke out and back tested and went higher. So it's just probably going to be in the process of maybe trying to break through. Possibly could take more weeks to break through, right? But once it breaks through, it could do something like this, break out and then back test and then go. Then the next angle above sits in the 300s, guys. So there is good things to come in the future, but you just got to be patient because nothing goes up in a straight line. And to go up 21, 22% in one week and then only 7% the next week, that's still a very successful chart, and it's still trending higher and higher, right? And it's basically looking more and more bullish. Now, what I teased you guys about on X today about something that I discovered, I'm going to go back to this chart right here. And basically, I'm going to turn on the monthly chart. The monthly Ichimoku is what I'm talking about. So here it is. All right. Do you see anything that is very bullish with this chart? So let me just take off the fibs so you can see everything more clearly. And what is standing out right now is this blue conversion line on the monthly chart. Finally, after this monthly candle close, finally crossed above a bullish cross above the baseline, a monthly cross, right? This is a bullish indication of the future because you can see what happened here. It was a bearish cross and things just went lower and lower, right? Now we finally got our bullish cross for the first time after it was holding this as support for over 4 months in a row. And finally we got that cross. So this is basically more confluence that's showing that it's just kind of the beginning of something magical that really wants to go higher and higher. Because once you see this on monthly time frames, it looks really good, right? And we see it on a lot of charts now. We see it on block, we see it on ARKK, we see it on a lot, which proves to me that things are just beginning, because this is a clear signal on a monthly high time frame that things do inevitably want to go higher. So there really is no worry about any kind of dip. And also, to bring up the dip part, there is even more confluence of support right around that 240 zone. This 50-month moving average at 238.01 is there as well. So if it does need to backtest that, guys, it's okay. Right? It's really not that big of a deal. Just try to ignore the day-to-day volatility and just look for the bright future. And the bright future is showing us that this chart every month is proving to be that it's more and more bullish. And once it's on top of this monthly cloud, could be this month or next month or in a couple months, not sure when, but then the next level does sit here at 290, and the 300s are an easy target after that. So just give it time, and I can definitely see the 300s in the near future. And next is the Palantir weekly update. So of course, we're going to start on the linear scale fibs for this one. And did it almost get down to the 886 again, the 4055? Well, it got down to 40.90 and then it kind of recovered a little bit. So it's just still kind of in the middle of a zone. So what we're really paying attention to is that price is really bullish, but it looks like it might need to cool off a little bit just because of this big, well, not necessarily that big. It's like 6.5% down, but it is a rejection from the previous all-time high. So it might need some more weeks, some more times to cool down. But how far does it really want to go? Does it really want to go back down to this 4055 or even back down to the 786 at 3664? Both cases are possible. I'm not going to rule out this at all because anything is possible with Palantir. You just saw like a big, gigantic candle here. Price can do whatever it wants, but it's still going to maintain the uptrend. But what I think is most likely right now is I'm going to show you on my log scale chart right here that essentially what we're looking at is, let me zoom out, price is definitely maintaining this arc as support and this angle as support as well. So this is a very bullish development. And guess what, guys? What sits right below there? Well, it's around that $39, $40 level, right? That's the arc and that's the angle. And going into next week, that is basically around the same area. So could a back test of that happen? Yes. And I think that would be healthy. Could it wick through next week and even go lower and scare people down to the 37, 36 to the conversion line at 37.23 and then maybe close the week back above? Yeah, that's also possible too. But either way, guys, this is looking like a bullish chart and it does want to continue higher and higher. And my focus is on this angle. If this angle can be held for the entirety of this bull run, then that'll be $100 by September of 2025. But if this angle ever gets broken on the way up at any time, then that would take a lot longer probably to get up to that $100 target. So I'm keeping that as my gauge, right? My gauge of extreme bullishness, or just maybe it's going to stop going straight up, right? If it keeps that angle, it's going to be really bullish. If it drops below it, then maybe it's going to retest lower levels and maybe it'll take a lot longer to get to $100. So either way, Palantir is really, really bullish and the earnings are, when are they? Yeah, Monday, November 4th. So that is the earnings date we got to watch out for and see what really is going to happen. But as long as this angle holds as support, I think it can go much higher. But if it breaks, then be prepared for maybe $36, $37 below, maybe that conversion line for a little back test. And that would also equal the 786 here on linear scale right there, the 3664. So we'll see how good the earnings are. But I think, like I said before, even if it is a back test of this zone, it's still a very bullish development for the future.